Hey guys, just a thought. I like saying that. Just a thought, which like leads into all these other thoughts, which is crazy how our minds work. This is based off of just like a Facebook post that I commented on, and there was a lot of conversation back and forth having to do with stuff that's going on in Afghanistan and presidents and regimes and things like that, and then to observe and watch people's opinions based off of their experience and their and I use the word programming because we program ourselves and the world programs us on how we respond to things and how we see things. And it's interesting to watch because every decision, everything that typically you encounter in a day is based off of a bias of how you see the world, right or wrong. It's how you see the world based off of what you've walked through in your life, what you've experienced, what you've allowed to come into your life to sway your thoughts one way or another. And so when you examine everything that's taking place in the world, so let's take our president. I don't know the man. I see what I see on TV, and you can make evaluations based off of whether good or bad. Is he capable? Is he not capable? But when you start to look at a person who's gotten into that position, as say president, or maybe the CEO of a company, or whatever, it doesn't really much matter. That we as people don't know the depth of the journey of their life that has created the person that you see before them, the snapshot that you get to see through social media, through TV, and things like that. The snapshot that we use as an evaluation process on another created being. Because, and so, say you were going to watch a movie. Movie's 3 hours long. We'll take Lord of the Rings. 3 hour long movie, real long movie. Good movie, but really, really long. But instead of you watching the whole movie, they break it down to where you only get 10-second clips of the movie. And maybe they do 100 clips of 10 seconds, which if you do the math, that's not going to be 3 hours. And it's interdispersed throughout the whole movie. And then you're going to take a look at that and you're going to make a judgment call on what the movie's about. But then if you could see actually the whole movie, you're going to come up with a completely different interpretation of what the movie was truly about. But sadly, as humans, what we have a tendency to do, and it's not just with people on TV or in magazines, but we do it with each other on a daily basis. Our minds are walking snapshot cameras. They take little snippets of information, little pictures of an individual, and typically we don't do a movie, we do snapshots because half the time our brains are trying to come up with, so if you're in a conversation with someone, you're already thinking way ahead of what they're saying so that you can answer them, which means you're not paying attention to what they're saying. You're paying attention to the thoughts in your mind so that you can answer them, so that you can get your opinion across. So therefore you end up taking snapshots of the person that's sitting across from you, and you're making evaluations based off of what you perceive off of those snapshots. And this is where division, arguments, assumptions, misconstrued ideas start to take root in us about another individual. Now, people that are in front of you are typically mirrors of who you are. So the very things in them that you don't like are typically the very things in you that you don't. But you will voice your opinion towards them about what you don't like about them in such a way that it makes them feel bad, but in reality, it's most likely in you too. But you don't talk to yourself that way. It's a hard road to walk down to not see people as mirrors. Because that means that you have to take a look at yourself. We have to start a healing process within ourselves. We have to get our brains rewired so that we are not conditioning ourselves to think in such a way because of programming. And programming exists in every aspect of your life. From the time that you wake up to the time that you go to sleep, the programming's there. The programming has been set by yourself. It's been set by the world that surrounds you. It's been set by TV, social media, the books you read, the job that you do. The programming's all there. Some of it's good, and some of it's bad. But it can create in us this, and I'm seeing it when you watch news shows, when you have conversations with people. Inevitably, our self-righteousness will rise up. And what do I mean by that is that I'm right and you're wrong. And just like I had in this post, and I think I even addressed this in the previous video, is that because of the duality we live in, there's right and wrong, and there's good and evil, and there's light and dark, and these are opposites that exist. I also made another comment in the post, which I think is quite true, that in every conflict, within any argument, any conflict, any war, both people are always right and both people are always wrong, all at the same time. Why? Because it's the perception. So if I'm in an argument with you and I feel that I'm right, then I'm right, right? But I think that you're wrong. But on the other side of the argument, you feel that you're right and I'm wrong. So when this takes place, both parties are always right and they're always wrong. And this is what wars are. This is what dissension is. This is what division is. Take Afghanistan at the moment. The Taliban believes 100% that they are right. They're justified and right in everything that they're doing. The Western world, the people that it's affecting, feel that they are wrong. Both are always right and both are always wrong. But Kevin, there's violence and they're hurting people and they're doing all these other things. Yeah, I understand that. And this is coming from a brokenness within an individual that has the ability to hurt people in such a way to take their insecurities and their hurt and their misinformation about themselves and to take it out on other people. That they secure themselves with an ideal that they think is correct, that gives them justification for their behavior. But then on the other side of that, those who are observing and see this as wrong also walk down a road to where self-justification and self-righteousness can also rear its ugly head. A Western culture cannot understand the culture that's in the Middle East. Just like the Middle Eastern culture cannot understand a Western culture. Because both are always right and both are always wrong. When you start to eliminate these differences, and what I mean by that is that when you start to see that you, or I, when I start to see that I am literally no different than anyone else around me, meaning the way that I'm designed, the way that I'm made, what I do with this clay mold that is me is my choice and my choice alone on how to mold it. Now, I can allow other influences to come in and mold me, but if I do that, then it may become extremely painful because it's contrary to what the Creator designed for me. I'm being molded into something that's not truly who I am. So then it becomes painful. And I may lash out, I may strike out at those who are trying to make me into something that I'm not. But then I become this thing that I'm not, and now I start to project that upon other people. But I've convinced myself now that this is the way that I'm supposed to be. So hence, then we end up with exactly what we have now, which is problem after problem after problem, because ego and maniacal thinking becomes the norm and it becomes the way of being, because each individual is not willing to address their own issues. They just would rather live in their own righteousness, their own ego-driven built world, instead of the truth of who they are. And the truth of who most individuals, I'd say the majority of created man, if you got down to the core of who we are supposed to be, then we would be like our Creator. And see, I mentioned this before in the video, that he's a singularity. So that means that he lives only in love. He lives only in mercy and kindness and earnestness. These things are the lower portion of who we are. These are the stepping stones to the ultimate, which is love. Because as it's said, love covers a multitude of sins, a multitude of wrongs. And not just in the sense that, hey, you were mean to me, or you did this or you did that, and then you forgive, and that. Love covers a multitude of dysfunction. Another way that you can look at good and evil is function and dysfunction. In other words, something was designed to be a certain way. And if it's not that way, then it's not functioning as it was designed. Which then creates a situation to where you end up not being who you're supposed to be. See, this place that we call Earth is a school. It's a training camp or training ground for us to work out who we're supposed to be. So every wide range of goodness and badness, if you're going to use these terms, takes place on this planet. The Earth also reaps the effects of this. So as each individual person starts to see the truth of who they are, who they were created to be, who they were designed to be, and they start to return to that home, and they start to go within and start to return to that home to where Christ reigns and lives, then there starts to be an outward manifestation or change within the individual that causes them to start to exude or to exhibit the traits of their Creator, which means that in all things there will be love. In all things there will be mercy, and there will be kindness, there will be understanding. There will be a desire to be more than you are. So what does that mean for us now? Because observing everything I've been seeing for the past few years has shown me that there is so much pain. There is so much hurt that is out there. And you've got a very small percentage of the population throughout the world that is content in where they're supposed to be within themselves. Because everything around us is making sure that we're distracted enough to always run back to our ego, to run back to the things that make us feel comfortable and secure. May not be good for us, but that's what we're programmed to do. And once again, these are things that we've done to ourselves. I blame no one. I don't blame the TV. I don't blame social media. I don't blame narratives that are spoken through administrations throughout the world, because it's up to me whether I accept it or not. It's up to me whether I believe it or not. And if I digest it and make it part of me, that's on me. That's a choice I've made. And then I have to live with the effect of that. But the problem is that because of the fact that we as a species are so interconnected to one another, that me being broke will affect you. It will cause you issues because of what I project towards you. So if we want to fix the world, fix our families, fix our communities, as Joe Biden would say, the buck stops here. It starts with us. We're the ones that have to make the change. I can't ask you to change. I can't ask you to become something that you're not. I can hope and pray that you will become who you're supposed to be for you. Because when your true self finally arrives, then everyone else will feel the blessing from that. Because when your true self arrives, you're not going to want to hate. You're not going to want to get into senseless and foolish arguments about something you have no control over. And even if you have control over it, if you realize that you literally have no control over anything, that things still take place because they have to, so that the lessons that are in that situation can be gleaned, learned from, so that you can move forward. Everything is training. Everything is learning. Everything is advancement towards the end goal of getting home. The end goal of finding your creator. The end goal of finding who you are. So, anyway, it's just a thought.